Hello and welcome to another morning briefing video presented by Stein Investments. Today's timing is spot on because we are currently facing a newly appearing volume trend here in the Japanese yen that is covered by a rising interest from the retail traders. The yen trading positions rose by 3.2% during the last hour, against the rest of the market sentiment, which is currently stagnating. And we can see that these traders prefer short positions on the yen, and the yen dropped pretty clearly right now. So it's definitely worth to have a closer look, and we'll do the analysis of all the yen pairs in a second. But before that, let's have a look at the average daily range for today. You can see the yen is only at 73%, so there's lots of potential for profitable trades. But gold already achieved 111%, which is neutral. That's why it's drawn white here. And we can see that gold is in a massive downtrend that lasts for several hours now. And we'll have a look at that as well. Good news from the total trading volume. The drops of the previous days are over. The retail trading sentiment stabilized. The retail trading crowd is less nervous than the previous days. And so we are now dealing with a lot more stable trading conditions. And so we can hope for more stable trend moves or long-lasting moves in the currency pairs of interest. So let's dive into the chart analysis, and you'll see that a few things changed compared to prior morning briefing videos, and that's due to the fact that I combined the IX power analysis and the FX power analysis to have the easy scalping strategy and the breakout strategy at a glance in one chart. So let's move on with our gold analysis, and you'll see that this downtrend is pretty solid. We've seen a recovery move, but it was not able to overcome this resistance level and dropped down to the bottom and was held by a support level that appeared 10 days ago. So the potential for today is pretty limited in my opinion. Of course, if it moves further, then it's most probably a down move. And for the moment, it's not very interesting because this support level holds. But interested traders will like our new option we provide with the next update of FX levels, where you can get an alert on a broken level. It was the wish of a user in our community, and yes, it makes perfectly sense. And so you can enable this alert, and if then a support level like this will be broken, you'll get an immediate alert on your terminal or to your mobile device, and then you know now it's worth to have a closer look and maybe take the trade to the downside. So, but this is just a side note. Let's move on with the interesting yen trend. The yen has been strong, is currently going down. It's not yet a real established downtrend. Of course, we can see a massive spike to the upside here in the US dollar yen, which also explains why there is such a drastic change in the yen volume, because this pair is traded the most out of all yen pairs, and it will probably overcome this resistance level pretty quickly and start to move on further. I'm still a bit unsure about this one, because if I would use a serious risk and reward ratio, I would have to put my stop loss down here and my profit target somewhere here. So this is barely a one-to-one risk-reward ratio, and maybe it's better to await if the price will come back from this resistance level again and then take the second wave of this move. And there is also no clear easy scalping strategy setup or any clear breakout strategy setup, so I'll drop that for now. The situation on the euro against the yen is pretty similar. We have a very fresh breakout strategy setup here, but the next resistance level is very close, and this would lead to a negative risk and reward ratio, so we drop that one as well. Situation on the British pound is slightly different. There is also a breakout strategy setup, at least with a one-sided dynamic, purely related to the yen here as well. But the situation is the same. The stop loss would have to be here, and the potential is maybe at plus 100% ATR if the trend remains stable, but these are no ideal trading conditions in my opinion. So sometimes it's better to wait at the sideline and wait for better opportunities. Moving on with our currency overview, we see only two really clear trends. The one is the British pound here, which is clearly a buy, and the New Zealand dollar, which is clearly a sell, but both are showing currently no dynamic because the 4 hours short-term analysis is above the other lines, and on the British pound it's vice versa. So this is no real trading opportunity. To me, the only real dynamic trend is the Japanese yen right now, which is going down, but you can also see here that the long-term trend come from a very strong position, is currently entering the neutral area, and it will take a few hours, maybe a day, until this new downtrend will be established. The US dollar is on the buy side with the mid and long-term analysis, but short-term also only neutral, so no dynamic in this one. The Canadian dollar is long-term neutral and short-term on the buy side. The euro is showing some buy dynamic, but you can see the mid and the long-term analysis just left the neutral area, so this is a pretty new dynamic as well. And the Aussie dollar seems to shift to the other side as well. That's no ideal market situation right now, and we can have a look at the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. You can see there is a breakout strategy set up, but currently with no dynamic, and there's also no volume trend in the British pound or the New Zealand dollar. So the only ones that is of interest is the Japanese yen, but we already analyzed that before. We already picked 2 trades after we received an alert from our customer alerts tool, and the first one has been a easy scalping alert here for the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar short, and this is what the big picture confirms as well, with the US dollar clearly on the long side and the New Zealand dollar on the short side. And so we picked this trade, set a reasonable stop, not here in this resistance zone. This would have been too far away, but here is a decent distance between the price at which we took this trade and the next hidden resistance, I would say, because if this price overcomes this last high, it's highly likely that it will move in the opposite direction. But nonetheless, we took this easy scalping here when the 4-hour analysis peaked through the zero line. It's currently ranging, but there is still potential, and if you didn't took it yet, you can still enter it right now because the setup is still valid. The other one was the British pound against the Aussie dollar long, and here this support level is newly formed. It wasn't there as I picked this trade, and so I've chosen a solid distance to the actual price and the setup was pretty much the same. A peak to the opposite side, and then it returned to the long side, and we picked this buy trade. And in this example, the big picture drawn by FX Power confirms the trade direction as well. We'll see how it goes. I don't know why it currently is so slow, but there is still some potential. You can see we have only 80% ATR, and the New Zealand dollar, US dollar is at only 51% ATR. So there's plenty of space left for profits, and the profit target was set somewhere here, but I'll set it to the 80% ATR right now, because the last days I've been too conservative on this one, and maybe we'll reach it. Let's move on to our non-forex symbols, starting with the Bitcoin as usual. On first sight, it looks like the Bitcoin produced a false easy scalping setup, but that's not the case, because this peak didn't reach the opposite extreme above 40, and so this one wouldn't have triggered at all. And you can see the Bitcoin is rising further, and now it's obsolete because the one-day analysis crossed the line to the buy side, and we can also see that the Bitcoin is showing some buy dynamic during the past hours. So no easy scalping setup inside, probably for the rest of the day. So we can drop that symbol and move on to the next one. Situation on oil is that the long-term trend is a clear sell, while it's showing extreme buy dynamic on the short and midterm analysis. So nothing that suits our strategies, and we can ignore it for today. On first sight, it looks like the Dow Jones might produce an easy scalping alert the next minutes, but that's not the case, because the long-term analysis is way too close to the neutral area, and in our custom alerts tool there is a minimum of 25 or minus 25 in a downtrend defined. To avoid exactly these false alerts you might get in this situation or in this one, and so if it reaches the extreme point, the long-term trend has to be below minus 25 in this example, and this was not the case, and so you won't get any easy scalping alert in situations like this. German DAX is almost neutral in the long-term analysis, and all in all very undecided. So it reached the support level and reversed a bit. It's no clear setup to me, and so we can drop that for today as well. Once more, the video has been longer than expected, but I thank you very much for your attention, for supporting our channel and us in our work. I'd love to read your comments. It's a great pleasure to have an active communication with you guys, and I'm looking forward to the next one, and I'm already preparing a full tutorial video on FX levels, including the new features as well as the new templates I'll upload during the next hours, which will be followed by a tutorial video of how to download and install them into your MT4 and MT5. So stay tuned, subscribe to our channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you and bye bye.